Welcome everyone. Hail to my fellow Selvan citizens. I am I.D.G Curry, and I would like to present to you the official Shogun of the Heavens YouTube channel, where we will be walking the path in each chapter of Book 1, Fall of Immortals. Narrating this thrilling, action-packed, and dramatic fantasy will be yours truly, I.D.G Curry, aka, for these sample readings, the Prophet of Pagulane. Now, without further ado, enter with me as we plummet to Gaia and into Book 1, Fall of Immortals. Prophet, proceed. A leafy ball of fur tumbled and rolled down a hill after stumbling over a brush, then into several tents at the base of the Mahesta vine tree. Assuming it was an attack, the prize warriors encircled the commotion, prepared to strike. Children, carpenters, and craftsmen alike came to a halt in their daily lives. Stirring from the wreckage, Sindri arose from the smoke and chaos, bruised in body and pride. "I must speak to the Mios immediately," Sindri said, staggering to his feet. The spears and arrows surrounding him stood down as a few warriors braced him so that they could escort Sindri to their chief. Approaching the base of the divine tree, Sindri began walking on his own. With glowing lavender leaves and silver bark, over 3,000 years old and about 2,000 meters tall, the Mahesta vine tree stood in magnificence at the center of the tribal encampment. 7 fires were kept burning at altars surrounding the divine tree. These altars were decorated with offerings and blue roses plucked from the lush vines hanging from the sacred beauty. Its flourishing countenance represented the lives of those in the spirit realm that have passed on from the physical world. If there were any words left unsaid between loved ones, a tribesman or tribeswoman would come to an altar at the base of the divine tree with an offering so that they could connect briefly with their loved ones in the spirit realm. The central altar eclipsed the others, as it was also where the silver thrones carved from the bark of the sacred tree were located. Sindri was escorted by 2 other warriors to the thrones, kneeling as he reached the altar. The Mihos, the tribal chief who leads the warriors in battle, was standing in prayer to the sacred tree. He was a white lion, larger than the other males, and carried the feathers of a phoenix, which decorated his war bonnet, while his braided mane hung in gold rings. The Mises, tribal priestess and leader of ceremonies and spiritual gatherings, watered the flowers around the altar. She looked like a white panther with light blue eyes and black stripes across her arms. She wore a short blue dress and sapphire earrings matching the flowers she cared for daily. "Mihos, it burdens me to disturb your prayers, but I bring grave news that must be heard," said Sindri humbly. "You as well, my lady." The Mihos concluded his prayers and sat on his throne to hear Sindri's report. Once joined by the Mises, Sindri continued. "A portion of our land to the southwest has been devastated. So much so that I doubt it will recover in our lifetime." A tear fell from the eyes of the Mises. To her, the land is what connects them to the ancestors. "I wish that was all, my lady. However, there is more. Your son, Kimba, gave his life fighting the trespasser. The silver bark of the throne cracked slightly in the grip of the Mios, and the Mises' heart sank as she absorbed the loss of her son. "Did you see him fall?" the Mises cried. "He was in combat when I last saw him. The stranger was powerful, Mios. He killed Amphios like we kill rabbits on the hunt," said Sindri. Rage building inside him, The Mihos rose to his feet. And you abandoned him. Maybe he survived and will follow you shortly, the Mihos said optimistically. Are you sure? Said the Mises, concerned and hopeful. As I made my way here, I still could hear the battle raging, said Sindri. As I was coming down the path through the brush, there was an eruption of green lightning in the sky. Since then, I only heard the thunder striking the clouds, and in my soul, I knew he had lost. His final command was for me to report what happened. Your son fought valiantly against the intruder. The Mises sought comfort in her husband's arms as the Mihos began to console her. I don't understand. Kimber was our greatest warrior. Who was it that murdered my son? Asked the Mihos in anguish. He said his name was Zoldan, Sindri answered. At first, he appeared to be just a man, but he is not like any mortal man I have ever seen. His speed was godly, and he wielded an odd-colored lightning. He appeared to be from some faraway land and was wearing strange clothing, unlike what we would normally see his kind wearing. Send out a scouting party, the Mihos commanded. I will give the highest honors to the warrior who brings back the hide of my son's killer. I will offer his carcass to the ancient spirits. Sindri rises to his feet. I plead with you, Mihos. Allow me to redeem myself and join this hunting party. I've seen the enemy, and I am familiar with our quarry. Sindri pleaded. The Mihos considered Sindri's request for several moments as the Mises quietly continued mourning their son. Granted. You are to leave immediately, the Mihos commanded. Sindri bowed and then left for the camp to prepare for the upcoming hunt. Some hours went by while Zoldan was sitting on a fallen tree in a clearing not far from the impact of his arrival. I expected those two back by now. I'm growing impatient, said Zoldan as the wind flapped his hood and his hair danced on the breeze. The gale shook all the trees and leaves in the area as the flora sung on its branches. The wind whipped south before dying down as suddenly as it came. Light from the hunter's moon glowed over the forest and plains. Crushing the tranquil peace was a disturbance in the brush behind Zoldan. Zoldan looked around him, surveying for any movement. He noticed large shadows leaping swiftly, crawling around him, and attempting to cut off any escape. Their movements were as acrobatic as a gibbon, swinging through the trees as they drew their bows and arrows, preparing to pounce. Are you going to hide from your opponents like cowards all night? Or are you brave enough to face me before I cut you down? Zoldan said loudly, drawing his sword. Assessing the disadvantageous position, Zoldan taunted the hunters, making a gambit that he could provoke them into revealing themselves. Did you intend on waiting until I fell asleep? Are you so afraid and lack such honor that you dare not confront your enemy? You are prey hiding from a true hunter. The movement suddenly stopped in the bushes. Meet your enemy's eye and fury like true warriors would. Heavy paw-like feet hit the ground, and the Mahes revealed themselves, stepping into the moonlight. You again, Zoldan says, pointing his sword at Sindri. After surviving the first encounter, you dare to willingly face me again. Disgraceful failure must be acceptable among your people. Sindri grunted, readying his blades and claws to attack. You have tarnished this land and slain our hero. The Mahes fear none. We will have vengeance, said Sindri ferociously. The verbal exchange was disrupted by the shaking of the earth as several beams of light crashed into the forest near the deadly confrontation. All woodland creatures for miles stared in the night sky as the terror was shaken 9 times. Seeing an opening, Zoldan took advantage of the distraction, leaping at the gawking lions. His lightning enveloped him, and Zaldin lifted his sword to thrust into the Mahest hunting party. As their fight began, through the forest, at the crater site, the 9 acolytes rise to their feet. "Where are we?" said Idris, dusting himself off. "Something feels different. It is difficult to move and breathe in this world," said Soraya as she adjusted. Damok stood at the top of the crater, waiting for the others to recuperate. As they gathered together out of the crater, Nefertari began to enlighten her companions. "We are in the realm of mortals, on the world of Gaia." Nefertari fluttered around the air with her wings. "We seem to have landed in a forest around the western continent." Mansa joined Damok above the crater's edge. "What do you think so far, Commander?" asked Mansa. "For some strange reason, I can sense Zaldin in 3 different directions," added Amina. Staring into the bushes, Damok replied, "There has been commotion in this direction since we have arrived." Mansa focused his senses. "A fierce battle has been taking place in that direction. There were slashes followed by roars and the groans of dying animals. They hear a man cry out from the other side of the tree line. We may find him there. The pulse is strongest over there," Amina uttered. The acolytes rushed forward together towards the sound of combat, and after several more clashes of metal, the commotion quieted down, and the forest became calm. The acolytes approached carefully, stalking behind the bushes to investigate the scene of a massacre coming to a climax. Join us next week as we get into the next part of the saga. Shogun of the Heavens Book 1 is available on Amazon and Amazon Kindle or for order at your local Barnes & Noble's bookstore. The Amazon link to purchase the book is in the description of the video. Behold, as we all dive into the world of myths and fiction. Book 2, The Throne Crusher, is still set to be released on December 9th, 2024. This installment changes the tempo of the story, allowing us to go deeper into popular role characters who will now step to the forefront of this epic tale. On this channel, we will be providing you a series of samples read from the Shogun of the Heavens book series and complemented by visuals from the story as envisioned by the author. Please like and share the video, subscribe to our channel, and comment below. Then, while you're at it, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, where you can compare our competing galleries of artworks brought to life from the story. Thank you.